Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. If you're just joining us and you missed Game 1 where KT was able to take a win, but it's a bit of a more hard-fought victory for them, especially around the middle portions of the game. By the end, they started kind of just running away with everything, but MVP able to put up a decent enough fight, showing some signs of life compared to their previous match versus Kog'Maw Monster, where they got absolutely stumped.
I agree, but still kind of problems abound for both teams.
Oh, yes.
KT Rolster fans will hope that was just the start and that we will see an uptick in performance. Honestly, for both teams, it was a bit of a rough game. Achilles, ADD, had some creative teleports that were not good, so hopefully he can find a passageway to some better ones when we hit Game 2. But first, we have the business of Game 1 MVP, and also showing you the lobby. Cool stuff.
Woo, take a look at that lobby.
Deft had a lot of kills, so he might actually win here. I didn't vote for him, I voted for Mata, but Deft's gonna win.
Okay, it's gonna be Deft at the end of the day. 8-1-0, like I said, the only kill that he was giving away. Words are tough today. It was against ADD in that 1v1 where he just overstayed and overpushed in the bottom lane. But 89% kill participation. This guy was doing a lot of work here with this Varus in game number 1.
Can't argue with the kill score. The fact that he could picked up the Rage Blade so early. They played around his power earlier. If they made some kind of macro choices just before this, I think it could have been a cleaner game for KT because Deft was always the most powerful carry on the Rift, but they slowed down a bit. Moment they could truly play around him later. That ult went wide. The moment that you can play front-to-back League of Legends with a free farm Varus with all his on-hits, buffing up the Malzahar damage, the Gnar damage.
You're having a good time.
It's just so straightforward. It felt like Deft spent most of this game near full health. I don't know if it's Guardian Angel. In fact, it wasn't popped.
Yeah.
This was the big fight where because Cosmic Radiance arm, he could ignore the Tristana E. He did not have to pop into Guardian Angel. He could keep going forward, and that just meant whoever was getting focused down by Deft was dead.
Yeah, leading to quite a few kills for himself without many deaths. So pretty good performance there from Deft. Earns himself that MVP here today.
My personal shout out to Mata, who made Taric look like a viable champion, which is good. I had my faith shattered a couple of times throughout the course of this week. Beyond actually QSS quite late there. I felt like if he pulled off the Captain Jack QSS, he might have been able to flash and look for a smite steal, but not to be, and this is the final moments of the KT victory.
Yeah, not today, no Captain Jack for him, but a good start for KT, but plenty of work to be done here as they get ready to go into game number 2. They do not want to repeat mistakes. They do not want to give up a loss over to MVP. They need to be in as tip-top of shape as humanly possible before that Telecom War match on Wednesday. Already a bit of a hiccup there with game number 1, so we'll see what they can improve on here in that short span of time between games 1 and 2.
You can see that MVP giving a pilot a real shot. He had a decent game here actually, so no emergency no emergency reason to sub him out, so he will be keeping his starting position. No KT subs. People asked about Yukal in the break. Should be noted, he turns 17 on the 30th of January, so February will be the earliest he'd be able to play. So that's a bit of bookkeeping there as to know Yukal, and the Rush fanboys will have to go a little bit longer as he's not going to be playing for Game 2 either.
Yeah, it's a bit longer on Yukal. Who knows how, if we will see him even after he is of legal age to play. Ornn has been very outspoken about defending his position and making sure that he is going to be the starting player on this roster. He does not want to surrender it to Yukal at all.
And 3 games in, he hasn't had any truly Pawn moments where you're like, all right, Pawn, I don't know what you were thinking there. He's been largely on point. KT Rolster want to be sharper, though. They need to be as sharp as possible going into an amazing fixture, the Telecom War next week. Budget Telecom War. We'll see the winner. We'll announce the winner at the end of the day, I guess, the Budget Telecom War. KT have a bit to do. They're going to win that one. So we'll start here. Story of Game 1 was the hyper carries were banned, and KT could first pick Varus. Varus and his triumvirate of AD carries. I guess 4 of them now, if you include the Varus, are always something to track in pick and ban in Korea.
Now he's got a square of AD carries. So he's expanding. Looking good. GP still going to be taken away by MVP. Do not want that one in the hands of Smeb. And the standard Callista on red side here from KT thus far. Wouldn't be that shocked if we see the Ezreal taken off the board yet again as well.
Ezreal Cog could be next to red side bans. Waiting to see what MVP want to do. Feels like we're kind of back into, again, about a year ago where Blue side didn't get to, so Blue side completely impacted the draft and Red side didn't get to play League of Legends in the ban phase.
It does seem like that's kind of the case here.
Some teams opt into banning Kog'Maw. Blue, that's kind of the only thing we've seen. It's mostly been KT, honestly. So MVP, what another annoyance do they want to deal with? Or is Pilot really not wanting to play Kog'Maw? We'll find out. They ban away the Gnar, so they're going for, let's give ADD some champions that he doesn't have to deal with. So Sion looking pretty good here, Achilles.
You know, the Sion is always looking pretty good when ADD's on the Rift, but he doesn't feel that way for whatever reason. We'll see if this is going to be the moment to bring it out here in this Game 2 scenario, try to tie things up and force KT into that Game 3. Because again, like, if MVP doesn't win this series, it's not the biggest of deals as long as they are competitive. Because right now, they need to, force the other teams that they're going to be playing in the future to fear them a bit.
This is a cool choice here by KT. They basically banned Tristana, the champion the Pilot played quite decently in the last game, and say, hey, if you want Kog, we're just going to take Varus again and do the same thing. So they're kind of happy to give MVP, a team with worse macro, team that's been struggling team-wise with their pick of the AD carries, and then just on the red side, be able to play a Varus comp. But now that Varus and Kog'Maw are available, KT aren't necessarily going to be swapping in the way they might have expected, and with the Malzahar gone, we'll see if that impacts any of their decision-making.
And yet again, where it's going to go, because I wouldn't put it past Max to run this in the support lane.
It's much less common this season to see that, but the Sejuani available. Didn't even notice that, but a byproduct of the kind of targeted bans on blue side could be Sejuani Braum here, and to keep the AD carry pick hidden for a bit longer. Tahm Kench also available, but they're going to actually show their priorities. They want to have presence in the bot side. They want to win pretty much any 2v2 short of some of those range supports coming back into the meta. Now lock in the ruler special now for Deft. Oh no! Okay, they are going to go more and pick for Deft. So after banning it on blue side, they abandon just focusing on the Varus and actually take the Kog'Maw. Interesting to know.
Yeah, it seemed like they were going to set themselves up for, massive amounts of CC yet again, Sejuani ultimate into the Chain of Corruption or vice versa. It's a long lockdown, but instead it's going to go for the Kog'Maw. So expecting a lot of defensive options here for KT in the future of this draft as they get ready to go through those final 3 picks.
MVP have abandoned any hopes of 5v5 because we're skirmishing now. We invading, we battle warding.
Maybe any hopes of winning as well.
Second game on the Nidalee, like you're kind of alluding to, their first attempt, not great. AD carry pick of Varus, heavily expected here. Will be locked in for Pilot. The moment you see Nidalee, you know that 5v5 is almost certainly not going to be the decision. Nidalee can invade the Sejuani. Might see Skor go fleet footwork this game for a bit of extra movement speed and clear speed. But KT are going to go full dream team fight, you'd have to imagine. Starting with the Tahm Kench is probably the way to go.
All right, yep, that's going to be the first of the defensive options coming through. So Tahm Kench here from Mata can just always keep Deft safe, just devour him up anytime he gets jumped on, including with that Nether Grasp.
And this is where things get really interesting for me, because now we already know the identity of these two teams. We have teamfight outscale versus let's try and skirmish and snowball. That's already, doesn't matter what happens in the rest of the draft, it will follow that cadence. So where the bans start to come in, how MVP rounds out their draft, because this draft is very hard to execute, even for the best teams in the world. If you think about KSV, they're just going teamfight every game and knowing that with their smart macro, they'll get to the time when they're strong. We'll see if MVP can make us believers. Taliyah ban here, maybe a preview of what will happen if Yukal ever does play. It's known as a Taliyah one trick. He'll need some new tricks for pro play, of course.
Wrong mid laner there for the Taliyah ban, so an interesting one to see for sure. Not very common this day and age. So Janna, yet again from KT. Do not want that one in the hands of MVP here in this matchup.
Finding some coverage for the Malzahar. Braum banned on red side, so they've banned away the ranged support that answers tanks so well. The Janna, which has been jumping up in priority, is a max special as well, of course. And then the Braum, just for team comp. So not as many tank supports, might force something like an Alistair, I guess, on the side of Max, unless he wants to go back to the well and show us some brand. I mean, this is probably a game where you consider it, but maybe too much magic damage.
Maybe he just plays the Thresh again, I don't know.
Possible. Still not a believer on that one, but Rise banned away here as well for team comp. Would have given them so much flexibility to play side lanes and also go toe-to-toe in most matchups, even though Malzahar has a decent one there. And hello, this is a champion we haven't seen in a long time.
Okay.
Either of the two that they're mousing over was the Karthus that we're going to be denied. But
yeah, the Zilean is going to be coming. Nope, flip over to the Ornn.
Yeah, they're playing with our hearts a little bit, and also playing with the hearts and minds
They
of
showed
MVP.
it for a second. So maybe it'll be that last pick to come through, but Ornn in the end going to get locked in.
And it's also Smeb saying, guys, you know, I'm taking one for the team. I'm probably going to be counterpicked here. Basically everything that's in the meta right now can work very well here. Gnar is banned away, you should notice, and so is Gangplank.
Okay, but the Vladimir.
It's going to be a Vlad top. I actually think Ornn does pretty well into Vlad top. Vlad's really strong against Gangplank and other people that need to trade for lane presence, but Ornn can just be super tanky and itemize so freely that it's still going to be pretty free lane for Vlad. Vlad's still going to be free farm, don't get me wrong, but probably not solo killing the Ornn. And actually, seems like it was a bit of a preview of the support pick here for MVP, because it's actually going to be a support Zilean, another max special.
Yeah.
So. This is the most magic resist ever game for KT, by the way.
Yeah, pretty much. So many sources, just the Varus there for reliable AD on the side of MVP, so magic resist out the wazoo for KT Rolster. Final pick up will be that Azir for the mid lane. And, you know, just because you're never really sure with MVP, I'm going to wait until we hit that 20-second spot to finalize what the roster is going to be. I'm still expecting the support Zilean, but you never really know if it's going to go into the mid lane.
You're right. It could, on an outside chance, be the Malzahar. But what we're really seeing here, Achilles, is push, push, push from MVP and invade from the Nidalee. They do have lane priority in basically every lane, apart from mid lane, and post 6, maybe they can make something happen there. So very much they're looking to push. If it is support Zilean, then it's going to be Varus and Zilean pushing lane and forcing the Kog'Maw under turret, eating damage. Tahm Kench, if he's under his turret, doesn't provide anything other than staving away a turret dive. So it's very much going to be relentless pressure from MVP. But every time we see pressure draft, we know that you make a couple of mistakes on turret dives, you die in situations you shouldn't, the control wards go down defensively, and then teamfight outscales 9 times out of 10. Let's see if ADD, who did not make us a believer on his Ornn, can actually take it to the Ornn this time, as he's on the Vlad.
Gonna be an interesting matchup there. Probably a bit of a slow one early on. Hopefully we can stray away from that top lane. We kind of have the reversal of last time you and I were casting together, where we kind of do want to watch that bottom lane with the Zilean in the mix. Stay away from top again, as it's just going to be that wet noodle fight coming through.
KT, simple draft, straightforward one, but they are a bit on the defensive, Achilles. Not always comfort for KT Rolster. Let's see how they handle it.
All right, well, one game up is KT. MVP looking to tie the score, take us to a game 3 in this uphill battle. Let's see if they can do it as we jump onto the rift for game number 2.
환영합니다.
MVP fans still holding on tight, trying to encourage the players here to have a game-winning performance with their voices. Infernal Drake going to start us off yet again, twice in a row, so looking pretty lucky here for us as the viewers.
I do believe, Achilles, we have our first of the season 5 stopwatch team on blue side from MVP.
Oh boy, I can't wait.
The coach clearly told them, hey, inspiration's pretty good. Get some free stopwatches, and they listened. So, all right, catching up to the meta.
Rolster fighting there as they are indeed fighting. Pawn going to take that spear to the face as he just tries to get a bit of damage in onto Ian. But no one going to be using any summoner spells.
7 stopwatches overall. We're back on track, Achilles, after a wayward game 1 stopwatch front.
It was nice while it lasted, you know.
Don't expect anything. I assume patch 8.2 will see some changes with the removal of the quest shield, but maybe everyone will have wards, so that'll be weird. We'll see what people decide on that one.
We can get a visual indicator over everyone's head when they have a stopwatch, just for us in the spectator client. So I know, like, oh, they're going low. They're going to get the kill. Okay, never mind. There's a stopwatch. That would be nice.
Can't see how the Ornn matchup went in the previous game, and Smeb did a lot of damage, and ADD did not, because that's just how you roll as the Ornn versus the Gnar. But this time we're seeing Smeb on the other side. He's gone for Unsealed Spellbook, because he's against a ranged matchup. We never see him against melee matchups apart from Gangplank, so you never get to see something like the Grasp of the Undying. We have the Keystones up there. Many Unsealed Spellbooks on the side of MVP. Predictable.
A lot of harass there from Pawn, just trying to chunk out Ian where he can, force him to go through those potions. Well, he does have that more difficult start here. For
interesting numbers here, because I just cut you off. 75 wards placed to 29 between Jarvan and Siobhan. Now, Siobhan didn't have a lot of control of the map, especially as the game went on, so you could imagine was just kind of putting down a control ward and hoping for the best when it came to a play, but certainly big number differences there. When you are on the Azir side, you're expected to take the aggressor role, so your DPM always going to be high as Azir at the worst of times, but in this matchup, very simple.
He was highest in the last game.
42.5%.
Just a bit behind him, so
it's a big damage share too.
Quite a lot. Fortunately, though, you know, just Ian wasn't able to get those really impactful stream of shuffles every time he would go in for it. What do you know? A stopwatch was there to deny it.
It's 2018 meta, Kilios. We gotta sit back and relax and appreciate our stopwatch overlords. We should definitely be sponsored by Rolex or something this season.
That would be great. What is this, the LPL, Papa?
That's true.
We don't get those extravagant sponsors.
We got
like,
really nice chicken, though.
Mercedes and everything like that?
We got BBQ, baby.
We do have BBQ. You know, I would much rather have BBQ than a Rolex.
A lot of the fans might not know, but BBQ does stand for best of the best quality. Well, actually a reference to barbecue, which is what, of course, most Western people would assume at first glance. Max does not have Relic Shield, so triple Relic Shield bot lane.
We're still breaking the meta.
I mean,
in some ways here.
He's on Zilean, doesn't have a lot of AD, so he would have a very hard time with the Relic Shield.
Getting the procs. Try to time the bombs. Be a bit of a rough one.
I thought maybe Smeb was going to counter the entire enemy team and build an all-magic mantle, but that's a later purchase.
Not yet. We'll see that in the future here, I'm sure. Ian is still having a very rough time against Pawn.
Yeah, Pawn is actually getting a lot more damage onto Ian early than we saw in the reverse matchup. Oh, the Comet almost kills him.
Yeah, almost takes him down.
That would have been embarrassing.
Sub 20 HP.
He definitely wouldn't have healed in time, so that would have been very embarrassing.
I mean, he didn't even heal right there, and there's no way that he calculated it.
Score coming in.
Yeah, he's going to go in, comes over the wall. Just going to take it away with the flail. Thank you very much for the prep.
Or decide to go heavy into the resolve tree. Does not go for the precision, fleet footwork that we saw from Umti 2 days ago.
Gotcha.
I mean, he's battle warning. This is what he has to do. What did we say about the draft from MVP? If it's a 5v5 team fight, they basically auto-lose. So what they need to do is take the pushing lanes they have and battle ward with Beyond. And this failed for Beyond, this failed for Peanut. That's what's being attempted here. As Beyond is another one of our resident Nidalee players next to Peanut and also Spirit.
Just took away one of those small wolves. Instead of that, not a whole lot. Finds a control ward. So we can go ahead and clean that one up. Trying to keep playing as far up into the face of score as he possibly can. Keep tabs on that Sejuani, make sure that she can't impact the other lanes here. So far, we haven't really seen any ganks at all. It's just been all about rotating around the jungle for both of these guys.
Absolutely, and if you want to play that top lane Vladimir, firstly, shame on you. It's really annoying to play against, but do start with the Spell Thieves, and first item buy, you kind of want to back and just straight up buy the Frost Queen's Claim and teleport back to lane, so you no longer have the minion penalty on the quest, to start building up the quest, which is so important. Locks the spear there to try to get the Grom.
Yep, goes ahead, gets it with the smite. Gets a little blast cone over the wall, and he's got that fruit waiting there in the river for him, so score is going to be right back in the tip-top shape. So smooth stuff from him, not losing his cool, holds onto the flash through it all.
Gotta say, score has provided good coverage for Pawn, who, even against this Nidalee, is basically saying, well, I don't know what's happening with my jungler, but I got 2 control what's top side. And
that whole river is just lit up right now.
He's the only person who really is in a position to have strong lane presence. In the top lane, because Vlad takes a bit of time to get going, we do see Ornn pushing up for now, but will change a little bit as the game goes on. But in the early game, Pawn is really the one with license to push up, and so far with the coverage, he's done a good job holding down the Malzahar.
Score coming right back in, is spotted out on that ward over the wall. He's going to be going for this blue buff.
Playing around his vision and also the pushing in mid lane.
He's got the handoff here for Pawn as he comes
around
the side. Yeah, you can already see Beyond is prepped there on the mini-map.
Smart move, actually. Smart move from MVP. They kind of understand, hey, we're pushed in top and mid, so we can't go to our own blue buff as we get a pause.
I swear if you have another microphone issue, I'll be so upset with you.
Seeing his cool headset that I guess caused all the problems last time.
Seems like they got it working, at least for the moment here, this time around.
Don't have an update for you yet, OG and Legion, but we'll let you know if we get some words from Joel.
We'll see just what is causing the problem here.
Oh, it is a communication problem, but not in the side of KT.
Yeah, it's got to be MVP. So Ian and Max cannot hear each other here at the moment. So that is going to be our audio issue.
Damn, that's a really good-looking graphic we put up there. We didn't
like,
have one of those last time.
It's like themed for MVP. It's got like the white and blue going and everything.
Oh, GN, that was actually really nice. I didn't know to expect that, so that's cool. If we could have some break music, that'd be even better, but we'll see what happens.
We'll get around to that one, maybe. Just start playing.
One at a time.
Start playing Lightbringer again, just 24/7.
Oh, that's what the fans want. They want some more Pentakill.
Yep, over and over again. Not even the album, just the one song. Be great. But, yep, just a bit into this game so far. Haven't had any action really coming through. Just a bit of harass between the mid laners and the junglers.
And the simple fact that KT is kind of going even and forcing trades from the team that picked pushing lanes in a Nidalee is advantage KT. Again, we kind of talk about how in these sort of scenarios, going even for the outscale team is a victory in and of its own. As a little update that hopefully this pause should be very short.
Yeah, so it doesn't seem like we're having quite as severe of an issue as the last time here when Pop and I decided to kick off the season. That was about an hour, so this one should just be a couple minutes long. We should be getting back in rather quickly.
And the players and OGN also do have the license to decide the schedule of our podcast. Could be monthly, could be weekly, we don't know. Yep. So far it was just once, so
pretty random.
Might even be once a season if we get all the tech issues done. But the tech issues abated for now.
We're like good at podcasting, but we're terrible at producing one because we just don't have a regular schedule. There's no consistency to it whatsoever.
I'd like to say it's fully out of our hands, but
it's our producers, you know.
The fans always tell me that we should really stop talking, get back to the game. They know best.
There's only so much to talk about 7.5 minutes into the game when you got that pause going on.
Well, let's talk about Malzahar.
Oh, you talk about that flash right there. Nice little juke back from Deft to avoid the spear. As the Devourer there to take him out to safety.
That's a good read, all in all, by Mata. He flashes early just because he understood that the likelihood of a roam there was very high, and he wants to be in a safe position. Does mean that Pawn gets a bit of damage. He was previously damaged the enemy mid laner. Now he's getting the turret.
Happier with that one. Trying to get a little bit more there onto Ian. But still going to be a bit. Just has that second Doran's ring and a dagger at the moment in the inventory. So that stupid Azir damage not going to be coming through for a little while.
I'll say credit to Ian that even though he's been pushed under turret and heavily harassed out.
He's keeping up.
Yeah, he's keeping up. You know, 6 minions pushing in now. He's only about 5 behind when I last saw. And not a trivial thing to do on Malzahar, where specifically the E can do some things that unsettle you. Lose CS.
Oh, it's going to be the flash in for the Nether Grasp as Beyond comes in from the sideline. Spear connects. He's going to go low. Has the stopwatch to try to stay alive, but isn't going to be enough. Comes back out. Emperor's Divide flashes to the side pawn. Can he do it? The spear comes through and it connects. He walks right back into it, and first blood goes over to Beyond.
That was about as flashy an 8-minute gank as you can see, but it does go successfully. For Beyond, it works out. The flash looked out of context, but you can close the distance so far as the Nidalee. They needed to snowball. It's only a single kill, but it's a feel-good moment for MVP.
Spear to the face, takes him out after all of the heroics there from Pawn to stay alive. Gotta feel pretty bad, and that's gonna help accelerate that Nidalee here for Beyond. If he can keep this ball rolling, it could be very dangerous for KT. In the meantime, though, ADD gonna be getting jumped on, has the flash, burns it out, gets himself into the brush.
Buying time.
Tries to throw down the Hemo play, get a little bit of HP back here. Bursts his way up to about 60%, and now they're trying to turn it around with Ian arriving. Bit of damage there from the Malefic Visions in on to score. Does not get hit by the spear. He will stay alive, but great turnaround there from MVP.
Yeah, MVP were in position. Credit to Beyond, who was mid lane and then top lane when he was needed. Both gank and also cover with a counter gank. So we see, once again, Pawn pushing in mid lane, but this doesn't have significant AP like you mentioned before, Achilleos. Those auto attacks not going to be smashing down the turret too fast. Starts to add up, though.
Quite a bit, yeah. He is getting a significant amount of damage in onto this. Have to peel back, however, but is trying to get set up for that first turret take there in mid.
Inferno almost gave score. Yeah, sorry, red buff. Red buff almost gave score away.
I mean, that would be damn impressive if an Infernal Drake managed to get its way over there.
I mean, it happens sometimes. Enough Syndras in the game, anything's possible.
Well, Pawn, tries to dash out, but the Nethergrass comes through yet again. Beyond, trying to chunk him out. Emperor's Divide shoves in the Nidalee. They'll jump over the wall, but the last turret shot will come through, and Pawn comes up with a kill. But one more hit from the boiling would get it, but no! It doesn't connect. The silence doesn't come through, and Pawn is just stony-faced as he walks away with his life.
It was a true swag walk there. Achilles walks away, no heal, no flash, lives anyway. Made the smart call, and that's the sort of thing that Pawn will really start to get his swagger back from, because he said, hey, I'm up there. I need to be considered. And understanding that, hey, ulting them away, there was no guarantee he would live. He was going to take a 1-for-1. He gets even better.
Yeah, beautifully played by Pawn. Voidlink's just not able to keep up with him to get that final hit in. What is it with the KT members and having these very minute getaways that we've seen from them so far? Smeb just barely not getting clipped by that event horizon, getting the TP off. And now Pawn able to just outplay two members of MVP, pick up a kill, and keep his life at the same time.
It's all fighting words for Pawn, who's gone for the Merc treads early. He wants to avoid that QSS as long as possible. This time Score has ultimate.
Yep, here we go. All the Forge God coming through. Going to be looking for the pop back, but it's going to be the pool there for ADD to dodge that one out, so Smeb doesn't even bother trying to redirect it, but they have the lockup. Plenty of CC between the two, and that is going to be another kill there for KT. 2 on the board. As Score finds it. We'll get another look at this super close up.
Not a lot of gameplay to begin things, but watch when he has the decision, do I ult away or not? Because Malzahar still had his passive up, would have done pretty little. So in the end, makes a smart call to ult him into the turret. We can see that null zone. It's more narrow than you might imagine. That could happen for another player. Doesn't happen for Ian, and Pawn gets away.
They were right on his heels there. Everything barely not connecting. Now looking for Ian, scores around the backhand side. Doesn't have the ultimate available, but offers up another.
They don't care about the ultimate killers. They want the turret.
Yeah. Will zone him back. Can't get the consolation prize of Ian, but more than happy with that. Don't even blow out the flash, but first turret does go over to KT.
It's a big win, actually, for KT Rolster. We talked about the playstyle needed from MVP. Getting mid lane turret.
Beyond.
Got the blue buff, but getting mid lane turret of all turrets really makes the map narrower for Beyond if he wants to play the invading style. Now there's many less passageways to actually get in the face of Score, relieves pressure from KT, and that outscale we talked about is more reliable when your first turret is mid lane.
Even with KT having the kill advantage, having the turret advantage, they still find themselves in a bit of a deficit. 400 gold behind MVP here at the moment, so still a very close game. That could go either way. We see it's just a game of inches at the moment, back and forth. Pawn getting the outplay there, picking up the kill onto ADD in the top lane, then immediately MVP coming back and getting that blue buff for themselves. So it's just constantly trading these little micro interactions between the teams. And it's helping to keep this very close. Score trying to yet again to get a blue buff. Will get it this time. Goes in for the charge to lock down and Beyond. Yet waiting here in the river. That's going to be Mata coming through with the Abyssal Voyage. Immediately will turn around as soon as they see that bomb line laid down by Max.
And Zilean, of course, able to single target, bring back anyone, so smart of them to just back away. KT happy to return to laning phase. Longer the laning phase, especially in bot lane, the better. Once the Rage Blade completed onto Deft, who's about 2,000 gold away, at least based on the items he has so far.
Seems like Smeb's having quite a nice time now against ADD at this point. Keeping up well as far as the CS is concerned and just not taking very much damage overall. Deft, however, going to get locked up. Bombs coming through. Chain of Corruption helping to keep him in his place as Beyond comes in. Javelin not going to connect, but they have to run their way out of here. Heal gets used. Or the exhaust gets used, rather, from Mata there to keep him alive. Deft not having to use the heal.
Good mind games about the use of Devour there as well, as Gun doesn't need to back away. He'll just get rid of the control ward and keep trying to apply pressure. He can no longer apply pressure to Score, so the next best thing is slowing down Kog'Maw. Probably the right way to go for him. You always kind of need a mission if you're Nidalee. You're just farming, you're probably making a mistake, so good to see he has the mission of bot lane into Infernal, but neither going to happen.
Yeah, just Deft and Mata pushing forward, zoning them back. In the meantime, Smeb going to try to gatekeep here onto this Rift Herald. Score moving around the other side. We will see a TP coming through. Ian flashing in, Nethergrass down in onto Score, locks him in, and it's going to be taken away, the Rift Herald there, by Ian at the same time. So kill and objective goes over to him. Smeb trying to walk his way out of here. Pops the stopwatch. ADD charging up, flash away for the Ornn, trying to stay in this one, trying to keep himself alive, has the shield. All the Forge God coming through, gets the redirection, pops up ADD, but cannot get the kill. Beyond now around the backside, has the red buff to slow, can go for the dive if he wants to. It's a bit of damage in, Smeb, juking that one out, trying to TP. Bombs would have interrupted. He's got to cancel it, and looks like he's just going to go down in the end as Max finds it. He bought quite a bit of time at the same. MVP are still going to be able to push in and take down this turret in the top lane.
Your dance moves are only going to take you so far. The teleport wasted all in all. There was just too much damage there, I think, for him to realistically last 4 seconds to get away, but did buy a lot of time. The steal there onto the Rift Herald is also something to talk about.
Yeah.
ADD actually the one to pick it up in all the pandemonium, and ADD's building for lane here. If you notice, he's going for kind of a Rumble-esque build and going for a very early Void Staff. Rumble commonly will go into first the Merc Treads, then into the Leanders, then Void, just to have the ability to split push in the face of a magic resist stacking top laner, and he's going to get massive value, Achilles, because he's against 3 tanks, and all of them look at the enemy team and go, you've got almost no physical damage. Even Pilot, if he is going to be going for the Rage Blade, which he will be most likely, is going to be basically magic damage only. Confirmation there, I haven't actually looked. Yeah, Wits End start,
first,
so
yeah.
certainly going to be magic damage focused. So a lot of value on Void Staff.
Well, 2-1 there as far as the turrets are concerned, but MVP still with the lead. Almost 2,000 ahead at this point, just 16.5 minutes in. The Infernal Drake still hasn't been taken since that brief visitation from Beyond. Still will be sitting there on the board as a very juicy objective now that that Rift Herald's been taken away. Mata just snatching up the Raptor right
He swag
there.
walked. He actually did cancel there and do a couple of laughs, so felt good about that one. Getting in the head of the enemy.
Gotta do it where you can. Yeah, just going to be the bottom lanes joining into the mid here. Trying to keep the waves pushing away. Apply that pressure in towards the tier 2 turret. Help open up that dragon for them.
We are in this awkward spot where we talked about how they want to do things early. This does qualify as early, but the big one-item completions of Rageblade and Nashor's there for Deft and Pawn respectively.
Beyond, does he want to come over the wall? You can see KT waiting to try to interrupt him. Could just be the Smite Ward. Beyond's going to take it, and he can just exit straight out the back of the pit. Throws in the Javelin.
Oh, misses.
We're going to be whiffing that one out. Yep. Has to get devoured. Carried out by Mata to try to keep him alive. He's still going dangerously low as MVP looks to pursue forward. Deft doing his best to sit in the front and dissuade the members of MVP from pushing forward, but he just doesn't do that much damage as a Kog'Maw right now. KT, they go for the hard commit, but just gets taken away yet again. Score missing out on another Smite War.
And KT kind of messed that one up in almost every way. They have to use 3 flashes, both of their bot lane members, and score. Whereas MVP get the steal, they get the positioning on mid lane as well. A lot used there for KT, though, whiffing from score, not a good look either. They want to play the delay, they want to delay the game. First Drake being Infernal going to MVP is not great, but it's 18 minutes, so at least that's on the delay side of things. Delay side of things. Regardless.
It's okay, words are hard.
You pick it up, you realize that MVP needs to be picking up those objectives. The fact that it was forced by KT and then whiffed, not great look for them.
Yeah, double whiff there from score. Really rough stuff, and they need to tighten up if they're going to be able to close this out. MVP are in a pretty strong spot here. As Pilot gets closer to that Rage Blade, now going to be having the Infernal Drake to couple with that when it's completed. Here, Rift Herald going to be channeled here into the bottom lane as they look to knock down that final outer turret.
Not going to force a rotation, given that Ornn was already walking to bot side. They want to continue to increase the pace of this game. Another outer bot lane turret going down will be good for them.
Charge going through. That's about the only damage they'll get from the Rift Herald here onto the turret, but looking for a little bit more as Max ADD and Beyond are all grouped up, and yeah, maybe KT just going to have to surrender this one. They don't have the damage to clear out the wave. So final outer turret, or no, not final, but the bottom outer turret, still have the mid lane one standing there for MVP as they tie it up 2-2 in that regard.
I think that sort of play style of running it down bot or top lane pre-20 minutes very useful against KT, because KT almost never make the same sort of play themselves. You see it a lot from Ambition and the side of KSV, but KT much prefer the full court press of playing 3 lanes at once. So smart timing there, like you say. While there were 2 members, Ornn and Sejuani could only do so much. Extra objective to MVP. Around a 3,000 gold lead for them.
Certainly in a good spot. And again, you know, we're talking about this earlier on. KT trying to fight from behind has typically been a weakness for this squad.
Yeah, I'll give them credit where credit's due. They looked a lot better at Casper Cup doing that as the chase is on.
That was predictable. Dodge that one out. This cost him a bit of HP as ADD We'll get jumped on. Abyssal Voyage coming through. Mata and Deft looking to join the fray. ADD pretty much just trying to buy as much time as he possibly can for himself at this point.
Oh, he really does.
Let's get the heal up. Running his way up. Hemoplague coming down. There's no way out of this one for the most part, but at least just make it more difficult for KT. Slow up coming through as he goes into the pool. He will get taken down. It's going to be Smeb snatching up the kill at the end of the day, but I mean, that was a lot of time bought, and now the rest of MVP, they're posturing up here into the mid lane, looking for that turret.
They're threatening a dive, but looking to take the outer mid lane turret, even with a Azir wave clear, not enough. Ult used, goes wide again.
Whip, yeah, just going to be slowing out Max there. He'll take a bit of damage, but does force out the flash now.
Ornn
Smeb TPing in from the back. Slow up onto Max as he tries to zip his way away. Throws down the ultimate onto himself, and KT now just going to have the inside track onto this turret, I suppose, to try to get in towards that tier 2.
They short in the lane with the Azir turret as well, and Score finds Ian.
Well, he does. Almost gets the slow up, does get the stun in the end as Ian flashes away with the ghost to keep himself alive. KT going to be trying to force this one out, get a bit of damage in, but the wave clear from MVP is still rather significant. Piercing arrow to come in. Deft now with turret aggro, has to kite back, takes multiple shots, and gets knocked down to about half HP. Low mana as well for him, so it seems like KT are just going to have to abandon the fight.
And the micro decisions there from KT compared to something like Smeb's overextension in Game 1 were much better. Just rushing down mid, able to make the lane much shorter by putting down the sand turret and get a lot of chunk onto the inner mid lane turret there. So smart moves from KT means they trade up in terms of turret damage, which is great from them, and Ornn also finds the latitude to go top lane and keep pushing.
Yeah, I mean, the calls are good. I think that the biggest concern here is just it's another whipped ultimate from Score. Can't seem to land these. He's always going straight in between the members of MVP.
Sometimes when you're playing, even on solo queue, but certainly in competitive play, if things don't go your way once, twice, and you can feel the whole weight of expectation come crashing on you. Score's been around longer than any. He's our only player whose tenure began the first ever OGN tournament in January of 2012. But his mechanics so far this season have been demonstrably weaker. It's something for him to work upon, because it's just not the top standard we expect from Score.
Certainly not. Smeb yet again, just looking to keep trading with ADD. Take him low. Doesn't have the backup from his team this time around. They'll be fine. They just keep going back and forth over CSing. Just trying to work their way into the river here, clear out this vision from MVP and lay down some of their own.
Trying to get deep vision. For now, that's pretty impossible. Score would have to walk forwards with Tahm Kench shadowing him, and you can see that Score and Smarter weren't playing together as Smeb found himself caught out.
Well, that distraction, drawing everyone down to potentially pick off the Ornn, does open up for that turret to be taken by Pawn in the end. So all 3 outer turrets there for KT. Take those away, and they have that inner one in mid, also pretty significantly weakened. Forge God going through, lockdown in onto Max. He's got the ultimate rolling on himself. Seems like it's going to be KT just abandoning the kill attempt. Bombs coming down, doesn't get the second one for the stun. MVP just trying to poke out and dissuade KT from pushing further.
Yeah, KT really wants to play 2 lanes this game, because MVP, because they've opted into Nidalee, don't really have a face checker. Vladimir may be that person, but they don't have a tank support either. So they can't put down vision. Their Baron battles are really weak, and that's why every time they face check, someone kind of has to flash away if you do see someone like the Kog'Maw there.
Yeah, and that's just going to keep costing him as the game goes longer and longer. So Pilot now without the flash could cost him, the opportunity at getting a lockdown with the Chain of Corruption or the chance to get away. Deft just waiting for the Devourer to come off cooldown. They'll take a little bit of damage. Mata still not playing around, just goes immediately for the flash as soon as that Javelin gets connected.
And Malzahar
Javelin, as I almost said.
Malzahar was coming in with Ghost, so right read there from Mata. MVP, it's such an interesting tussle here when it comes to vision around Baron, because KT, if they're in formation, MVP kind of has to hang back. All they can do is poke and hope they get chunk on a low health member. If they're in the wrong formation, then deep vision goes down, the Baron gets taken, and then MVP's comp falls apart. So you feel like the first team to pick up the Baron, if it's KT, it may even ice the game. But if it's MVP, it's to start to kind of march towards actually being able to push into the KT base.
Well, they're trying to double this right here as Score and Pawn just go straight in onto the Baron. It's completely in the dark, and they have the rest of the squad kind of showing, but the Baron does so much damage. You can see Score getting chunked out. They need support here. Abyssal Voyage will come through. Now the full commit coming in. But with Pawn and Score already so low, this could be some very swift kills getting picked up here by MVP. They almost have Score. Nether Grasp The flash takes him over the wall. He gets out of there safely. Deft is up in the pit, however, nowhere to go. Seems like he's just going to be trying to trade back here onto Ian. Takes him low. Zilean ultimate is there. Deft still firing away. Can he get the kill? No, not going to happen. He gets taken down in the end. They'll also find Pawn at the same time. So 3 members down on the side of KT. They'll have 2 Baron buffs to work with. And that certainly didn't go to plan. They tried to get the sneak away, but as soon as that Abyssal Voyage happens, it's pretty blatant for MVP as to what's going on.
Yeah, it was all pretty messy. Score doesn't have Warmarks. He has the magic resist here, so he almost dies straight up from the start. Actually doesn't die to the ultimate there coming through from the Malzahar. Deft is caught alone, and MVP are like, okay, let's chase other kills. We've got Deft. But Deft is powerful. He turns here between 2 targets, wants to split his damage as much as possible. They assume he's going to die to the Voidlings. He ends up
bomb on the Voidlings.
He ends up trading flash for flash with a Zilean, which can be relevant, but usually isn't. So it's probably a trade down, all things considered. And a top lane and a turret going down for KT Rolster as well.
Yeah, 2 turrets taken there by MVP with those respawn timers. KT, so even though they're the ones with the Baron, they're still going to be the ones losing the objectives. And another one ready to happen as this Cloud Drake will get taken by MVP. So, yeah, extremely rough spot now for KT as they slip further behind, nearly 5,000 gold down.
Smeb's items make me grimace because he's already upgraded his Abyssal Mask, which usually is not the best choice. Be like, okay, what about the item slots? You want to keep your control ward slots. He has a damn refillable still in his inventory instead of a control ward, Achilles.
I mean, hey man, that gets you like 2% of his total HP right now.
He has a cloth armor, a Doran shield, and a refillable. No control ward, and he upgraded his Ornn. That's just bad. Yeah, well, that's fair. I know you don't have an answer over there,
All I can do is
Achilles.
shrug it, you man. I agree.
Well, I don't know what Smeb's on today. He's being a bit creative. Maybe he's trying to lull Antara into a false sense of security for the telecom war. Who knows?
Yeah, there you go. The really big.
Look at me. I don't even know what items.
40 chess mind game style here. Smeb going to be looking for the knock up there. Does get it onto ADD. They shove him back with the Emperor's Divide, and that is going to be pretty much a dead Vladimir here. Redemption getting ready to come through, but no. Max has the denial with the ultimate from the Zilean. He'll come right back up. Goes right back down. Mata taking away the kill as KT pick one off. The rest of MVP converging onto this bottom lane.
It's brute force approach here from KT. They are very, very strong. They have a couple of Baron buffs as well. Said if they get the Baron, it could be big. They got the Baron. When score at least is grouped.
Be careful though. Pawn very low. Deft, however, pushing here in the mid lane by himself, is able to take down that inner turret. So bringing back the gold a little bit here for KT. They have to wait for the minion wave, which is still halfway up the lane, in order to continue this push. For now, it's just going to be that empowered cannon minion chunking away very steadily at that turret. In the meantime, the rest of KT, Deft, especially here, trying to siege up some damage onto that inhib turret, but very little avail.
Minion wave finally comes in bot side, but showing a lot of respect and restraint here, KT Rolster. Less than you'd imagine in this scenario. Only playing 2 lanes, because top lane was slow pushing. It's the way of KT. Back away with only a chunked out inner mid lane turret dispatched. Otherwise, pretty low value Baron buff power play. Kind of expected when there was a full reset after all the deaths.
I mean, any bit of movement forward here from KT is going to be good, considering how far down they've been and how punished they were after taking the Baron. Says thank you very much. Puts it out to the side.
Scuttle Crab seeing areas it's never seen before.
He's just trying to go home, man.
We've all felt that feel.
He doesn't want any involvement in that. Looking for the knock-up, does find the connection there in onto Max. Another pop-up to try to finish off the Zilean. He's got the ultimate ready to go, so he'll be brought back into the fight. So takes a little bit of damage there off the back end, but he's going to be fine in the end.
Yeah,
CP gets canceled there by ADD.
Not necessarily the biggest cooldown either, because the minions are both bot and top. Pretty centralized, so usually forcing out the Zilean ult might mean an immediate re-engage, and they still had the Sejuani ult up, but for now at least, rinse and repeat. This doesn't necessarily concern KT. They still have full trust in their team comp when it comes to 5v5 fights, but credit to MVP. They largely have been able to find smaller skirmishes. They largely have been able to play around the small mistakes from KT rather than necessarily opting into a true 5v5. The long lane, this sort of scenario with 10 champions, is the only area where MVP are desperately avoided.
30 minutes in here, 6-4. 3,500 gold in the lead for MVP. Certainly a better spot for them compared to what was happening in game number 1. Closing it out, that's where it's going to be really difficult for them. It's been overall pretty steady for MVP. It's been looking rather good. Improvements on game 1, but getting over that finish line is where things are going to be very difficult for them because KT are not budging. They're going to be pushing back as much as they possibly can.
It does still feel to me like an inevitable KT victory with where the game is currently at, but the amount of things that can happen between now and then that really are kind of more concerns for KT going into that very difficult match against SKT are numerous. This is not an easy game to clear because you look at MVP, a lot of wave clear, a lot of poke, a lot of damage needs to be respected. Someone loses their health and then you have to back and then your minion waves are in the wrong order. This game can kind of be reset in sort of similar fashion to the Baron resets in the BBQ game a few days ago. So while there's an inevitability, it's still going to take some time.
I mean, aside from the issues that we're seeing here from KT, it's also what jungler do you prepare for SK Telecom?
We're going to get that confirmation later.
Is it Wolf? Is it Blank?
I mean,
is it Blossom?
We saw Wolf swap in. We haven't seen Wolf start yet. I think if Wolf starts today, and then suddenly everything's going to be completely off the rails.
A bit wonky. Ooh, Deft. Or pathing almost goes back around outside of the turret there to take the bomb, but they will avoid the stun. Score waiting in the brush will get spotted out. Throws out the ultimate, lands this one, but Max immediately going to be free to that. Beyond with stopwatch. Himself alive there for the moment, but will make it out. ADD, he's been chunked down. KT not really any closer to picking off a member of MVP.
They're just trying to make a brute force because they didn't have their minion waves and all. They said, okay, let's win a fight, and then we can actually just push through mid. They don't have their minion waves. Vlad is in top side. They've used their initiation CC. So just more delay on the game, Kilios.
Yep, I do say the stopwatch, but it's the completed Zonia's Hourglass there for Beyond at this point.
And that was the Summoner Spell Cleanse, if you were wondering how Zilean was able to get out of the first CC. It's with Unsealed Spellbook, able to swap into that. A lot of supports taking Cleanse recently.
Tap's getting devoured. Stays alive here. As the Baron has respawned. MVP getting a nice shove there into the mid lane. Now Ian, pushing forward. Not under much threat yet. Does get healed up. Staying alive at the moment as Pilot starts firing away. Forces the flash out of Mata. All the Forge got coming through. Smeb bounces it back in, finds a knock up in on the Pilot, but nobody else can really collapse in on top of the Varus. Now the Redemption comes through, heals him back up, and he is just sieging over the wall, poking down the members of KT, and they can't find a way to get the hard commit onto the carries of MVP.
Because MVP will not hard commit. Notice there's no flash hemoplagues here. Everyone is playing around their maximum auto attack range, and therefore you've got Azir and Kog'Maw, the strongest champions, or among the strongest champions in the game, at doing damage to people coming to you. Frustrated because when W's down, Kog'Maw can't auto-attack anyone. Azir's Sand Soldiers are never in the right spot because there's so much mobility from Zilean, Vladimir, everyone else. They're turning on to Smeb.
Yeah, he's walking in all by himself. He's going to go low. He's going to get locked up from the bombs, and he is just going to get taken out of the fight. Max comes up with the kill. No flag there on to Pawn. Does take away a little bit of HP, but now suddenly MVP, they're the ones that have the advantage going in for this bear, and that massive AoE, that knockup from the Call to Forge God has been eliminated. Smeb, he's out of the fight for another 35 seconds.
They're going to try a 4v5 here, KT playing around max ranges. Skull wants to pay back and maybe have to do a steal. 3,000 on the Baron. It's going low.
Baron going low. Score coming in, tries to get it away, but yet again, Beyond is going to be the one winning the 50-50 Baron. Pawn, Malefic Vision's ticking away. Voidling's on his heels, has to just run out of there. And MVP, they were able to take multiple turrets without the Baron. Now they have it, and they have it on all 5 members. MVP might be able to close out this game, Papa Smithy.
Their psychological game is really working against KT Rolster. Smeb walked up and thought, hey, I got the Ornn buffed Abyssal Mask. I'm very, very tanky. Warmox couldn't even use his locket during the majority of that.
He barely looked tanky in that.
But he also was face-checking into 5 with no backup, with no Tahm Kench next to him, kind of unnecessarily because they're frustrated. They're not getting the fights they want because MVP are playing smart with a very execution-heavy comp. One person gets in melee range of Kog'Maw Azir. They die in half a second. No one's doing that. Everyone's playing their role. Feels like one person's having a brain explosion every 5 to 10 minutes for KT in these high-pressure moments. They reset again, but this time MVP with Baron.
Deft trying to clear out these minions here in the mid lane. Just to run away though, because spears and bombs await him if he sticks around. as well as that Nether Grasp, which is already back off cooldown. In the meantime, ADD just going to go ahead, add another Cloud Drake to the inventory, the arsenal of MVP.
Back up win condition now as well. Yep. 3 Drake buffs.
Elder on the way, and like you say, could have just all of that true damage burn coming through fairly shortly once that Elder Dragon becomes available. 7,500 gold in the lead at this point. MVP looking to add more to the pot as they go ahead and knock down this last inner turret.
Now, once you get to the inhibitor turret, the area does get narrower. That 5v5 fight does start to become required if you're MVP. 8,000 gold up Achilles, so compositionally down perhaps, but gold and Baron buff working for them. But now at least, not feeling brazen enough to force anything under turret.
It's good damage there onto ADD.
No other minion waves going to be aiding them. They're just playing down one lane here, MVP. Not usually the way you want to do with a comp like this, but they're trying.
Yeah, they're just trying to force this one out.
ADD doesn't have flash to just go completely Rambo, but if he did, he might consider just trying to force flashes or force people away from the turret.
I mean, he might just have to wait for the moment here from Pawn to go in for that massive Emperor's Divide if he can pull off the Shuri and the Shuffle. Isolate somebody like Pawn, or Pilot rather, take him out. Pawn doesn't really want to isolate himself.
No.
He at least has a Zonius for that, and a Banshees. So if he does go in for the Shuri and Shuffle, he'll be all right.
Deft is gone. Very single target, you'll notice. Did not go for the Hurricane, went for...
Yeah, Rapid Fire Cannon.
Have that extra range on W. He's not hitting anyone, so that's why he doesn't go for Hurricane. Because Achilles, if you're against tanks, you know where they're going to be. They're going to be trying to squish you like a bug. But against a team like this, there's never going to be 3 people in range for him to hit. You know, you might think, okay, Hurricane, everyone's squishy, you're going to mow them all down. But he's just not hitting anyone, so he needs the extra range to even poke, let alone kill somebody.
He's going to be working towards that 6th item when he can for now, just still sitting there with the Targans.
Might just be Infinity Edge, but it might have to be something like a Guardian Angel. We know it's not going to be QSS.
GA,
we know anything about
Bloodthirster,
Deft.
something like that to help him stay in the fight for a longer period of time. Trying to siege up here. Put out those R's where he can. The nice thing, at least for KT, is that even with the Baron-empowered minions, they can still clean out the waves rather quickly. Now the Baron expired.
Yeah, Baron expired, they didn't lose a inhibitor. That's definitely the nice thing for KT.
Yeah,
but
it's just one turret and the Dragon that got picked up, but they still have to be concerned.
Surrendered all of the map, which is kind of the problem there. So the next Baron is looking more and more straightforward for MVP to take. Credit to MVP. This is definitely by far their best game they've played so far this season at the 4th time of asking. Solid with a difficult comp. You see why they're returning to the Nidalee that they couldn't make work against Kog'Maw Monster. They do seem to have a lot of practice on this. Feels like Chaos style in many ways. The ability to focus only on skirmish, to never be able to truly 5v5. Can't really call it a poke comp when Vladimir may poke melee champions in lane, but otherwise hard committing. Mountain of gold on said Vladimir. 2,500 gold ahead of his opponent.
So now, though, what is going to be the next move for MVP is kind of the question. You know, even with the Baron buff, they weren't able to siege up and get in onto those inhib turrets. Did they just wait for another Baron or wait for that Elder Dragon and allow for KT to farm in the meantime?
If you ask me what the best team in the world would do in this scenario with this comp, it would be a lot about trying to play side lanes. Really getting your side lanes in order so you have split slow pushes happening in 2 lanes. The Baron spawns and it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. For the side of KT. MVP haven't been a great team at playing their side lanes ever. That's never been a strength of their play. Their preparation for games never really led to that. So I think for them, it's just a lot about playing around, trying to find picks. Saw Ornn there, I believe, out of the corner of his eye. Don't know that Sejuani's here as well. Now there's 5.
The Abyssal Voyage coming through, and Ian is absolutely destroyed. Pawn finding the kill. Gets the knock away there. On the Forge call, but can't quite find Pilot. He flashed over the wall to keep himself safe. KT now, though, with that pickoff onto the Malzahar, that means that the Kog'Maw, the Azir, is that much safer in these fights.
Yeah, MVP tried to play C hero, kill hero, but KT read him like a book. Very good positioning there. Ornn was, I believe, on the edge of vision,
he
but
just kind of popped out there.
He didn't count on Sejuani. Then you saw 2 coming in from the Abyssal Voyage, and that's when he knew he was boned. So that was certainly a pretty big mistake there individually from Ian. We'll see KT actually get some map control. The Baron that spawns in a minute going to have some attention. The sweepers go down. Unnecessary from MVP. If this was tennis, that would be an unforced error. Unforced error from the side of MVP. Nice play from KT, and we get a bit more parity from, as you say, MVP, who were kind of in the lead for the past 5 or 6 minutes.
See how safely they want to play this, though. Even though they got rid of the Malzahar, they don't want to just push in and try to knock down that inner turret, try to go for the inhibitor turret in the mid lane. They still don't want to get ahead of themselves. They know that there is a lot of deadly power on the side of MVP with Pilot and Max especially still alive in the fight, can completely deny any pickoffs that KT get and help turn those fights around. So they just go ahead, they kite back, clear out the waves, and get prepped for this Baron that's going to be spawning in 15 seconds.
And they've definitely got the double whammy or the 1-2 punch of the scaling teamfight comp and Ornn giving them basically a 7th item, you know, an extra 5,000 gold worth of stats coming through with the upgrades. See upgraded Zonias and the cheaper upgraded Redemption coming through on the side of Tahm. I don't believe Deft actually has an item that can be upgraded yet.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Infinity Edge would definitely be the one I'm thinking of
Needs
for ADs.
to get rid of the Relic Shield there.
You definitely hold on to Relic Shield till you have a full item.
Oh yeah, you don't want to just buy it for a component.
If you're wanting it home, you definitely don't swap BF Sword for Relic Shield. You wait for the full item because you get so much value from the shield. Trying for another Force.
Yep, looking for the redirect, gets the pop up there. On to Beyond, he takes a little bit of damage, goes golden with his Zonias. Keeps himself alive. In the meantime, ADD just trying to poke out here from the side, goes into the sanguine pool, which means that the ultimate there from Score is not going to connect. Ultimates being tossed out here and there. Overall, it's just KT just trying to poke out MVP, weaken them enough so they have enough time to go over to that Baron and absolutely melt it. With this Azir and this Kog'Maw at this stage in the game, they will destroy it in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, the duo attempt by the Azir would certainly be a lot more successful in this case, but you see KT just sitting under the turret while they have Score and Azir clear out the Scuttle Crab and get control as Deft playing around the edges. Of course, does have the W available to bow there.
Damage there, yep, the bomb coming through as well. Poking him down, but staying in the fight. But now, you know, it's basically a choice. Do you want to go for the Elder Dragon or do you want to go for the Baron? In this context, given the 3 stacks for MVP, KT taking away the Elder might be the best play.
No, there's going to be less preparation around it, but it is pretty low value for them. It's more of a denial, like you say, than a real win, but a denial's a denial.
They're trying to do this out, but the Spooky Ghost coming
Beyond
through here.
is going to scout this out.
Yeah, they're going to see it. They see how low it's going. Beyond. It seems like they're just going to go ahead and maybe surrender this one.
They're going to run to Baron.
Yeah, he's calling out the ultimate to try to interrupt this. That's going to be the Elder Dragon finished.
It is straight on Baron.
Yeah, they're starting it up.
They're going to get this probably too fast. They do plenty of damage as well.
Yeah, 6,000 HP ready to go. Baron going low and Score just not in the pit. That will be the takeaway there from MVP, but can they make it out with their lives? Smeb pushing forward, looking for AD.
ADC's a group team.
Tries to find the lockdown onto the Vladimir, but cannot get it, so just going to be an exchange of the objectives there. KT, they get the denial on the Elder Drake, but with no stacks, they're not really getting that much benefit from it.
I mean, it was a good read from the side of MVP. They knew, okay, we could contest, but why contest when we're guaranteed a Baron that is of higher value than KT's Elder Dragon? Longer duration, no buffs for KT to get more true damage on it or extra effective stats from the lack of Drakes they'd picked up. So it's really big here from MVP. That's the smart move. That's just basically getting a steak dinner when the enemy gets just, you know, a piece of sushi. At the end of the day, they've ended up getting more power, more bang for their buck, and that means that now, once again, KT will have to have the game delayed.
This one's just going to keep going on and on. 44 minutes, getting ready to come up here on the horizon for us. See just how long it's going to take to close this one out, because again, I mean, there very well could be a Game 3 waiting for us after this, Papa Smithy.
I wasn't believing it when I saw this comp that failed for them against Kongdu Monster locked in, but their play has been so much more reliable around it, and the KT that all the members were saying was going to be there, the team being more on the same page, turning 5 individual stars into a team, we still haven't seen it in the first week of the LCK. They've kind of been all at sea in big ways and small. KT do remind you so much of their 2017 spring presence, let alone any kind of extra reliability to their play, but they still have the teamfight advantage, and you still have to win a teamfight to end a game.
Well, they were waiting over the wall, but the minions come through, so Score does get spotted out before he can throw the ultimate. Trying to get a lockdown there on a Beyond. Fortunately for him, he's pretty tanky, so those javelins coming through from this fairly stacked Nidalee aren't doing a heck of a lot of damage to him. But the siege has begun, and MVP have already very much weakened this turret here. For the deflection there, Ian's still going to get popped up. They go forward, trying to get the lockdown. He's down to about half HP. So KT going to be hesitant. We'll go ahead and start turning around.
ADD on the flank, he returns the turret. So much AP, chunking it.
So Voyage coming through, going to be looking for the lockdown there onto the Vladimir. He's trying to zip his way away with that Ghost. Gets very low. Ultimate coming through from Deft. One more hit would do it, but he just can't quite get in range. ADD will walk away with his life.
Some minions on the turret top side as well. They back away. No punishment to the side of MVP. Rinse and repeat possible, but not with the Baron buff. About 50 seconds left on that, so won't get their waves in order. Could have been the pivotal moment in the game, but we slow down. Deft has gone very low damage. He's actually finished the Mormal Mortius last, focusing on magic resist, basically saying, at some point in this game, I'm going to be sitting and taking damage, but outputting more than they can take, and hopefully Pawn can do the hard work as well. Not a huge fan of it. We knew from the previous time Deft played he wasn't going to be going towards Mercurial Scimitar. To some degree understandable with the Tahm Kench next to him at all moments, but now you can't make a positioning mistake. And it's the weird spot where you went for extra tankiness with the Maw, and yet you can still be completely obliterated because you don't have a QSS. So it's very, very tricky here. Devour and Flash so important as ADD.
Yep, just waiting in the brush right there. Mata gonna take a little bit of damage, and Pawn gonna shift away. Himself nice and safe in ADD. He barely took any damage, immediately just gets hopped right back up.
But the side waves are advantage KT, so we kind of reach a stalemate again.
I feel like this is going to be a double Elder game here.
We might see the big 60 this game in terms of minutes played.
Well, Pawn just having to respect Ian there, threatening that Nether Grasp, immediately flashes away, and that's going to be the turret line getting broken inside the base of KT. Ultimate comes out, does get the lockdown there on the Pilot, but nobody else can go forward. KT just kind of wavering here. In the face of MVP, Stun goes through, gets a lockdown in onto Smeb. So far, Inhibitor getting focused out now, down to about half HP.
Silence!
The knockback, but oh yeah, the silence, he can't get the redirection. Massive turnaround there for MVP as they try to finish this one off. AD bursting right back up to full HP. Like nothing ever happened.
You got hit by a max range spear, and now the Maw does proc, so there's another tool not available for them. MVP, they have a minion wave that's been slow pushing all this time. They're going to taxi it, they're going to try and take a second inhibitor. Cooldowns are short for Smeb. He still needs another 20 seconds. He will not have it for this wave.
ADD frontlining takes a little bit of damage there, but still going to be all right to stick in the fight. Charge away by Smeb, making sure that he can still be a frontliner if the hard commit comes through from MVP. But it's not going to. They're immediately just going to go ahead, turn around, give up on that fight in the bottom lane. They got the inhibitor in mid. That's going to alleviate a lot of pressure. They also have to answer this top wave.
And the bizarre thing here for KT is that inevitability of the late game with such a low damage, but okay, he's adjusted again. Notice that now he does actually have sold the Wit's End, bought Infinity Edge, and now upgraded it to the Ornn Infinity Edge. That's important because I was struck by how little damage the Kog'Maw was doing. Doesn't mean his attack speed is a bit lower until the Ginsu Rage Blade starts to stack up, but Deft at least now has threat that was actually pretty absent the last time we saw an extended fight.
We'll have to see, just how much of a difference this is going to make in the next skirmish. But if it's a significant one, which, is kind of what we're expecting, if he's able to fire off, then you have to wonder, just think about how much better the game would have been, maybe even over in a victory for KT if you just done this sooner.
I mean, there's gold values. Wit's End is a lot of power for his team. Always a bit down for you donors. ADD just wants to get on Deft.
Yep, he's going to go low. Power comes through, however, keeps him safe.
A lot of flash down now.
A little bit of damage there. Now going to be the Nether Grasp in on his core as they try to finish him off. While the Forge God comes through, gets a double pop up there onto Pilot and Max. This Pilot takes a good amount of damage, but the heals coming through from this Nidalee are just huge. 749, I do believe, right there onto Pilot to keep him in the fight.
Tolkien back away. Warmogs will do the rest. This is one of those moments where they can walk up. They know some important cooldowns are down. So short, though, is the Malzahar ultimate. You blink and you miss, it's back available in about another 8 seconds.
So much tiptoeing here, back and forth. 20 seconds onto this Baron now. KT would love to at least get a pick off onto somebody. But the heals coming through. The Zilean ultimate there to just ensure that they stay alive.
When was the last time
so difficult?
Pawn was even in range to damage someone? It's been kited this entire game.
He gets one soldier hit in and then they're out of range again.
Or he moves up, gets hit by a spear, and has to exit the fight.
Yeah, throws down the turret, but that is going to be taken down very swiftly. As Pilot just opens up with the auto attacks. They finish that one off.
Plague almost off cooldown. About another few seconds for that one.
No flash, so ADD can't just jump over the wall and try to finish it off. And oh my god, Beyond. He gets ripped apart, but they found Deft. They take him out. And now KT going all in. They trade it back. Pilot goes down as Pawn finds the kill.
Pawn can win this fight alone.
He has to try to stay alive. Malefic Visions are ticking away onto him. He is out of the fight, as is Mata. Now it's just Smeb and Score. Very tanky, but on their lonesome, trying to kite their way out of this.
Yeah, if it was full health Azir, he could have carried it, but he has a full health tank line, but no health himself. 80 carries traded. Ornn has to back away completely. They can predict that he's in base healing right now. And MVP, no mana on Beyond, so maybe Baron is going to be a bit tricky for them.
Seems like they won't be able to go straight in for that one. Though they have burned the TP. Ian just TP'd over. It looks like they might just be going for this. Spear goes through. They're going to start this one up. Score's waiting in the wings.
So much stuff happening. Score here, full health for the steal. Azir back as well. No guarantees here. This is the moment.
He has missed the secures on pretty much every objective this game. Score has to find this one, but the Nethergrass comes through. Redirector on the Call of Forge God gets the double pop up yet again, but the Baron is going to go over to MVP. For the kills, haven't found any luck yet. Pawn trying to just fire with his hand soldiers over this wall, trying to get onto somebody like Beyond to take them out. But he just can't get in range, and Smeb gets absolutely chunked down.
Bottom inner turret goes down. The minions start to focus. Great use of the ultimate there from Ian, guaranteeing that there'll be no smite contest. Not even a chance for him to fail. It's completely zoned away. No AD carries always makes these scenarios so different. You want to give the advantage to the consistent damage dealer. That consistent damage dealer is Azir. But for once, Azir is being kited and outranged at every moment because no one is walking in to the Sand Soldiers. Everyone is kiting them.
I mean, I don't think we've really seen Pawn go for a massive Emperor's Divide play this entire game. He just hasn't had the opportunity, and he knows that if he goes in, he'll probably die before he can even use the Zonias, which I think he just sold.
He's varying up his items. He could have considered actually going for something different here. He's going to go for maximum AP.
Getting Eruptions comes through, doesn't get that second proc to lock down the remaining members of the KT that were in the range.
This may also give him Zonia's back. That might have actually been a cooldown move. I didn't quite miss it there, but sometimes selling and reselling an Ornn items have different properties. I know that if you have an Ornn Lock of the Iron Solari, you can stack it with a normal Lock of the Iron Solari. There's little things there, but assume it was for the cooldown as now Elder Dragon started. Second one of the game, remember.
It is KT here on the left, MVP on the right. Both of them going to be doing a massive amount of damage. Score, can he do it? This is like his 5th try this game to try to get the steal away. Nethergrass available yet again as the Elder Dragon starts to get the reset. Pop-ups coming through, looks for it, and he finally takes it away. Now the ultimate straight in, gets the lockdown. Zilean ultimate there to bring back Beyond, but he has got to get out of dodge, jumps over the wall.
Pawn just flashes forward, he wants to keep fighting.
The hits coming through from Deft as he's trying to knock him down with the artillery. Beyond still looks like he's going to be elusive enough to stay alive, but now Pawn going forward, gets the Emperor's Divide, tries to pin them into the wall, goes golden, tries to stay in the fight, but he's not here. Take it out. They actually turn this one around. Pilot comes up with the kill in onto Smeb, and now Pawn's been taken out, but Deft, he comes in, he's going monster mode with the Kog'Maw, a double kill immediately coming through, now healing all the way back up, just about the full HP, and Beyond and Max are stranded in the lane.
Just an insane passage of plays. Azir flashed all the way over just to close the distance to do damage. Flashed in for Deft, who flashes in again, eventually going to get Beyond. Zilean was actually just trying to slow down the push of the minions and going for a long run. The Yakety Sax in full display here at Achilleos. And yet, because they've delayed so much time, you see the pings, but KT are not super fast. What can they get from this? I don't know if they can end the game. The death timers are so long,
I mean, it's 13 seconds here on ADD. He'll offer up a significant amount of wave clear. 30 seconds on Ian, another 30 on Pilot, with Max alone right now trying to defend this. So Inhibitors certainly going to be going down. You can see Max is busy just trying to get rid of the minion wave there in the top side of the map.
It's going to be a single inhibitor, if any. Respawn time on Pilot, still 20. All right, should be one inhibitor here for KT.
Yeah. Get this and they can get out safely. ADD is just kind of tickling Score in the front line here.
What does it mean, Achilleos? Because you see an inhibitor go down and your color caster bullet points say one more team fight and they'll win the game. But they've gotten one team fight in 55 minutes because they've been so well kited the entire time by MVP. You're going to see the replay. I mean, so it starts here.
It's going to be a long one.
This is kind of lose-lose because KT need to steal this, otherwise they probably lose in a DPS fight to the 3-buff Elder Dragon. It goes down, you say, okay, Got the one pick here, they're gonna have to back away. MVP start kiting down, and the only way for Pawn to not get kited is him flashing over the fat wall and going in alone. This is the reason Deft wasn't there. But Deft not being there and being distracted by Beyond almost lost them this fight.
Yeah, I mean, Pilot just turning around, getting this double kill at the end, just chunks out Smeb straight into Pawn.
And then Deft announces his presence with a flash in. He does have that super infinity edge.
Hello, how's it going?
So much had to happen for them to just get something resembling a fight.
This is a mess.
Pawn at least has read. He's like, all right, I'm going to get one round of spells with my Sand Soldiers. He's actually bought Berserker's Greaves. He's sold his Merc Treads to go for maximum damage. Even if he dies, it might be fine. This Devour is drawn out.
So we're looking for that slow up there on the ADD. Doesn't quite find it. Deft has to be kept alive. That is the hope here for KT. Even if Pawn goes down, if Deft is there in the fight, they have a chance. At this point, over 100,000 gold for both teams. The gold doesn't matter anymore. 10-10 in kills with an hour on the horizon, just 4 more minutes to go, and we'll be breaking that 60-minute mark.
This is definitely the Who's line of team fights where nothing matters except for, you'd have to think a big outplay. I think the biggest thing that matters for KT is Pawn having flash up to try to do a big play with Zhonya's. He doesn't have flash about another minute. It does ruin some of their options. Inhibitor respawned in mid lane for KT, but MVP with so much ranged pushing have moved the minion wave up as far as possible. One more mistake could still decide this game either way, Achilles.
Pushing back in here to the jungle, red buff. Trying to be handed off, but not quite going to happen. Will be the smite away there from Score to make sure that they can take it. As we have 1 minute and 10 seconds left on the clock before that Baron comes up. We'll go ahead and flash it. I was actually just looking it up myself. What was the longest game time of last season? And that's going to be it right there. KT, of course, involved.
Oh, we're beating it for sure.
59-54. And
it took them 55 minutes to get one team fight.
There's no way in hell that we don't exceed that.
It's going to take at least 10% of 55 minutes for them to find the second one. So.
Yeah.
And the awkward thing is everyone's like, you know what? I could use my summoner spells back up for the next fight, which will decide the game, and that adds extra minutes. Ugh, just insanity. Even with Ornn upgraded items, it doesn't matter in the late game fights because they're not really fights.
Yeah.
Basically, it feels like MVP are the boxer with like the fleetest footwork possible, just darting in and out, never actually presenting themselves to be hit. And KT have the knockout punch, but they can just never hit MVP. Surreal stuff here. Still don't know what the turning point will be. To me, it's going to be a single individual mistake that will really decide this game. Trinity Force on Kog'Maw. It's just to help him close the distance with the rage passing.
Well, here we go, straight down the mid lane. They're pushing down into the bottom side. Trying to work that one away from the base with that Zerat portal. Baron completely blacked out here for KT at the moment. Throw down the one scrying orb, but it's going to be taken out immediately. And MVP, they're just going to open up in onto this Baron. Deft gets them vision with the R. Forge God coming through, pops up 2, takes a little bit of HP away from Beyond.
That walks up.
Okay. Spits out Deft, keeps him alive. ADD goes forward, he just gets chunked out. The heals start to come through. Nethergrass thrown down by Ian. The shield comes out, but he's still going to get taken down. Pawn finds the kill, now goes in. Emperor's Divide comes through. Max in the back line, who get taken out on double kill. Over to Pawn here to start off the fight. Pilot answers one in on to Score. No smite available for KT, which means they might not go for the Baron, even with the man advantage.
We all back away after what looked like on first glance will be the deciding fight. They do have Warmogs here on multiple members. They're going to return to it. They don't know ADD is still there.
Beyond's going to be here.
Pawn and Deft can die to one rotation from Vlad.
See the piercing arrow there on Deft does chunk him out.
This
Deft has to
is
open
so
up on the Baron just to get healed back up. Pawn is still so low. All the Forge God comes through yet again. They get the pop up in onto Pilot. Can they finish him off? Pawn goes for it. Deft is there with the damage, and they do finish him off. Beyond trying to get the hits there onto the Azir. Does get him in the end, but pays for it with his own life. And now with no smite, just the Vladimir, they would have to, they would get the Baron, but they're going straight into the base. Finish off that inhibitor yet again. KT just shy of 60 minutes. I don't think we're quite going to break the record here, Papa Smithy.
Yeah, Vladimir wave is going to at least buy time, but you're right, the game should end here. KT finally do it after Pawn was the biggest man in 2 fights in a row. He knew his role, maximize his damage, get into the backline. He does it. game ends at 59-54, and KT Rolster were made to expend so much blood, sweat, and tears just to get over the line. They do it, but what a game.
Absolutely insane. 59-54, previous record. So close to that one right there. An insane game, Papa Smithy. But with the telecom war on the horizon, this is certainly not the form that KT wanted to find themselves in. And apparently we did just beat the record by 2 seconds. Was told by Joel. Always hard to tell when we get the cutaway there on the final screen. So we have beaten it for 2017.
KT's new head coach will have to do some work, because at the end of the day, I don't think we will see a game like this in the telecom war. We will not see KT draft into such a split-push focused team comp. It'll probably be more standard. But when they were taken out of their comfort zone, when they drafted full into 5v5 and was spent 55 minutes craving a fight, KT didn't have a lot of options. Not often in the late game do you have these sort of scenarios happen. They didn't necessarily cover themselves in glory. Smeb made a lot of mistakes in the first 30 minutes when it came to positioning. They get over the line, but you kind of have to leave this one at one side. Use your next 4 days to really train some of the bigger mistakes, because to me, the last 30 minutes of this game aren't the sort of thing you VOD review if you're KT for the next series. You VOD review all the mistakes in positioning in the early game where they could have really stuck the landing instead of letting the game extend. Because by the time we got to here, there were so many fights, and to me, Pawn was the really big star. He needed to get in there. So many Azirs can play passively. You think of Azir Kog'Maw as a duo, and you say, yeah, Azir stands next to Kog'Maw, pushes people away, and Kog'Maw will kill everyone. Kog'Maw could never get near anyone. Pawn had to be Superman. He was to end this game, and KT just about do it.
Right the moment when they needed him. He finally shows up with that massive Emperor's Divide. Final pick there from Smeb, of course, helping out.
And just to guarantee kills. He accepted that he was going to die here, but it's an acceptable loss when his death is for the victory of his team.
For the greater good. From there, Abyssal Voyage to close that distance. Got to be feeling pretty good about it. Pawn's got a smile on his face. Maybe he has an idea that perhaps he might be winning that MVP award here for game number 2. But that is the 2-0 at the end of the day. MVP suffering another loss. Going to be moving to a -4 scoreline. But KT, a lot of work to be done. That's going to be one hell of a long VOD review session for these guys as they take a look back at this game in advance of their huge, huge match on Wednesday.
I mean, the frustration is the fundamentals that we were calling for in 2017 spring clearly are still not there a year and a bit on, with a new head coach, with potentially other supporting members around. We're still seeing the same KT Rolster, and we know that story. It goes so far until it doesn't. It doesn't actually get over the hurdle. The KT we have seen this week is not the KT Rolster that wins LCK. It just will not happen. And they really need to keep seasoning. They need to keep working and building, because there were a lot of frustrations in Game 2. But again, to me, the greatest frustration was not the match timer, but the fact that those early macro decisions, Smeb getting caught, other small mistakes are still happening so much later than they should be.
Well, MVP, they still look a bit disappointed, but honestly, after that performance, there's clearly an advance here for these guys.
They made me a believer of this insane skirmish comp. It's something that they have really only shown. Kingzone failed with a very similar draft to this, you'll remember, when they were running Vlad top. There's still things to work with here. Maybe it's a misread in the meta, because this comp is so hard to pull off, and even in a game like this, they weren't actually able to pick up the victory. But whatever they train themselves on next, I hope they can play it with as much skill as Pawn did in this particular game. Yep. Really great ending to the game. When the game is there to be won, we trust FLICKR. But after that, who do we trust? The answer is not yet Pawn, but with more performances like this, he can actually start to put some oomph behind the words he made. He said, I'm there, I want to stand and be counted. He did in this game.
I mean, we'll go ahead and recount this moment here at the beginning of the game where barely survived this entire skirmish.
Oh, the swag.
Just walking away, just doesn't even look back.
And that's only top 3 in terms of swag moments. Some of the late game team fights have to be up there as well. Even the itemization choices. Seems like every mid laner that goes Zonias will upgrade the Zonias, because you think, more AP and armor. You know, I'm straddling the line. I love the fact that at some point he said, wait, these fights aren't working because I need to be in there hard carrying them. Bought the super death cap, went in with the Berserker Greaves. accepted the fact that his KDA might go down, but the game would be won. Some great last few fights from Paul.
Yep. Both he and Deft had their moments in this game, helping turn things around. The bot lane play from Deft flashing over the wall at the end of this highlight here to go ahead and scoop up the remaining kills onto the members of MVP. Then his big play up near the Baron pit. They both had their moments, and that is part of why they're both going to be our MVPs in our interview in just a few minutes here.
Moments like this remind me of EDG Paul, who often had a very poor KDA, but in combination with Deft as well at the time, his job was to disrupt, his job was to initiate, his job was to hard carry. He did it well.
All right, well, there you go. We're going to go ahead and throw over to Joel for our interview translation as per usual, as we hear from Pawn and Deft. So Joel, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Joe, back again for another day of interviews. And with the first series out of this day, we're going to see KT Rolster pick up a win, 2-0 in fact, over MVP. And we're going to see the series MVP for this series, and it's going to be Pawn and Deft. We're going to have an interview with them. It's your first win of the spring split. How do you feel? Our very first start to this split wasn't that great, but I think it's really good that we got a win today, which is really good for us. And of course, you feel especially happy about the win today, Pawn. I think the first game I was very disappointed in myself, and I wanted to play better in the second game, and with the Azir that I got, I was very happy with my performance. And there was a situation where the game one wasn't really to my, wasn't a very happy victory, but second game definitely made me feel better. Definitely was a close one at the end, lasting over close to an hour. But you did end the year of 2017 on a bright note, winning the Kespa Cup, but did lose at the first series in the split. What was the transition between those two events? I think our scrim environment and our team morale wasn't the best in recent days. I think the first series did reflect that, where you know, our performance wasn't on top and conditions weren't on top either. So those things really did affect our play, and I'm glad we picked it up a little bit in this second series. And of course, a lot of people do still say that KT should be a strong team, but what do you want to say to that right now? And I think it's right now that, you know, it's a confidence issue that we always have to try to bring back up for ourselves. And in game one, you did get the MVP with that Varus, but you picked that out in the ban pick phase with such confidence. Where did you come from that? And Varus is a very good, viable pick to blind pick, regardless of who your opponent ADC might be. And it's something that I'm always comfortable with, and I was comfortable with this time again to pick it. And of course, starting from the laning phase, and also to the continuing team fights, you showed a pretty good performance, and we're going to see an example of that in this highlight. It was in the mid lane, picking out the highlight. It was really a tough situation for the Varus to put in the damage here. Yeah, I think it was a situation where either I or Deft, if we did survive that team fight, the damage output would naturally do come out, and I think our plan did go according to plan. Our teammates did a good job of executing exactly what we wanted to do there. I think I'm feeling pretty confident as well. That took a long time for Deft to say, but a lot of quirky, funny scenes throughout this series. And there was a situation where Smeb did try to catch out a very slim HP enemy that he had.
팀적으로 콜이 약간 갈려서
And it was a miscommunication within our team, and
뭔가 하자는 쪽이었고
some of the half of the team wanted to say back off and let's just wait for the next one, and the half the team wanted to say go forward with it, and I think Smeb didn't get the communication incorrectly and made that mistake. What was the communication between that time? It was a situation where we should have made it more clear to what to do there.
외부에서 좀 그런 얘기가 있긴 해요. 어떻게 보면 스맵 선수가 중간중간 좀 실수가 많다.
And people do say that Smeb does make these minuscule errors that turn out to be big effect.
드디어 본 거예요?
Yeah, I actually didn't know this happened. I actually just saw it.
봤는데 뭔가
Yeah, of course we saw it in the actual play, but didn't know from that perspective it looked like that.
알겠습니다. 더 이상 저희가 뭐 묻진 않을게요. 그리고 이제 이 세트 같은 경우는
In game 2 though, and it was really a back and forth DPS game where each opponents and each sides were really putting out all the damage. It could have been a game of inches that made all the difference.
근데 갑자기 그 질리언 이 스킬을 맞고 말자가
Yeah, there was a situation where
플래시가
the Zilean came in pretty aggressively there, and I think we could have played it a little bit better, and I think we tried to be a little bit more cautious, but didn't work out in certain occasions. And of course, playing the Kog'Maw in game 2, you must have felt a lot of responsibility to put in a lot of damage with that champion.
일단 제가 탱커들이 CC를 걸어주지 않으면은 딜을 아예 할 수가 없어요.
Yeah, there's a situation where I just can't put in the damage unless our other teammates put in the CC for me to put in the damage a little more safely. So that was a lot of pressure on me.
있으면 이제 아이템이 한 번씩 더 나오잖아요. 특히 뭐 무한의 대검의 경우도 무한의 용암 대검 뭐.
And of course, having the Ornn gets you in your team does get you an upgraded item. For example, the IE. Having it upgraded to a better version. And Deft, did you feel any difference in upgrading those items, including the Infinity Edge?
전판은 뭔가
Always a man of few words, Deft.
그냥
Again, would be a very
Yeah, I mean,
interesting
there
shot
wasn't many items for me to choose from, so.
업그레이드를 해야 될 것 같아서.
But definitely upgrading the item gave me another option. So what he's trying to say is that he didn't have many items to go, but having that upgrade option definitely helped with his selection. And of course, we do have to talk about out of the game factor, where you did participate in the national passing of the torch for the next event that's coming up in Korea. Yeah, it was very interesting because so many people came over to watch us, and being in front of that large crowd was very interesting. Yeah, it seemed like we were holding it for a long time, but we were holding it for about 3 minutes each per player. And it did seem like a long event, but it did end pretty quickly for us. But I think the best part was that so many people were around and gave me a new experience on that kind of issue.
일단 팀원들이랑 좀 되게 뜻깊은.
And of course, participating in such a meaningful event with your teammates.
굉장히 영광이었던.
And I think it was an honorable event and something that I'll definitely remember for a while. And of course, I was a little bit nervous during the event, just to make sure that I don't mess up on anything. And this is also an off-game topic here, because that Ji-Hoon Lee, your former head coach, did leave your team to go over to KSV as the general manager. Do you have any reasons for that? Do you know any reasons for that? I mean, we haven't heard anything about specific reasons to why he made that decision.
아니면 뭐 다른 선수들도 KT가 워낙 이제 별명도 많고 팬분들이 이제 되게
And
좋아해.
a lot of people do have certain nicknames for you guys, for individual players here.
본인이 느낄 때도 되게 좋으신가요? 그런
But
거?
do you like all that interest coming your way?
하면은 좋은 식으로 불러주니까.
And of course, you know, you do get the better nickname when you have a good game, and you get the opposite when you do play a bad game. So I like to stay on the good side as much as I can.
그런 거 같아요. 네. 잘할 때는 또 이렇게 응원해주는 사람들이 또 굉장히 기분이 좋다 이런 말씀을 해주셨는데 작년 2017은 어쨌든 뭐 KT에게는 조금
And in 2017 of last year is that it has been a little bit of a disappointing result when it comes to the expectation that you guys had for the team. But in regard to 2018, do you have any set goals that you want to mention about?
경기가 결과가 좋지 않았었는데.
And like I said earlier, our first series wasn't that great. The opener wasn't that great, but I think starting from today and getting this win, we want to continue forward and try to have a successful season for our team. And we'll try to do everything to win the championship for the split.
예, 일단 시작이 좋지는 않았는데.
Yeah, we didn't have a good start, but
경기인 SKT를
we do have the next game with SK Telecom. And I think with your support, we can still have a great game to that match. And that is the end of the interview. We're gonna move right on back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Joel. Well, these guys had quite a lot to say, a lot of questions being asked there by Dangun and Cloud Templar. But you know, of course, Juan, he'll get out about that win. Deft always just very soft-spoken.
I'm waiting for him to fill time in a double MVP interview. That would be amazing. Get us the double MVP interview, Def, with an amazing double MVP, but
he might just refuse it.
Yeah, it could happen. But we saw KT Rolster just about get over the line. 59:58 was the recorded final time there. 2 seconds short of an hour. But it was KT picking up the win before their telecom war. But the budget telecom war day will continue in a little bit of time, Achilles, because it will be SK Telecom T1 against Junior, who we saw very recently, once again, on the Rift.
Yep. 4 seconds more than the record. I heard Joel tell me 2, so I do apologize for the misinformation, the fake news that I gave you. But we got a new record here from 2017, or at least we broke the record there. We'll see if any other games can best this year. We'll see. If we count the pause, then we certainly.
You know what else we'll see? Whether Wolf's starting.
Yeah, we're going to find out. A lot of questions still to be asked. SKT going to be looking to have a better time than KT just did in that matchup. Look for that 2-0. So don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be back in about 20-ish minutes with round number 2. SKT versus Jin Air. See that. Bye. Get out of here.
Coming up next, Jin Air Green Wings